This is Catherine Ferguson Academy. If you are in high school in Detroit and you got pregnant or you had a baby, since 1988, Catherine Ferguson Academy was designed to keep you in school, to keep you from dropping out, to get you to graduate, to get you into college, real coursework, high expectations, plus help with parenting classes for the moms and childcare and early education for the kids. Right in the middle of a hollowed-out inner-city part of Detroit, they've got some land, and the school has used it to have the girls tend beehives and take care of animals. That is part of the deal at Catherine Ferguson. The girls learning to grow food and harvest crops, learning farming. The formula seems to have worked. At Catherine Ferguson, they can brag on their graduation rate and their college acceptance rate. There is almost no place like Catherine Ferguson Academy in the entire country. We started covering the story of this remarkable school in April, right after Detroit Public Schools put it on this list. Closures or charters, summer 2011, right there at number 8, Ferguson Academy, Catherine Ferguson Academy. Follow the asterisk there on that headline to this footnote. Quote, proposals will be requested to operate these schools as charters. If an acceptable proposal is not submitted for a school, it will be closed during the summer of 2011. In other words, Catherine Ferguson, named incidentally for a former slave whose mother was sold away from her as a kid, Catherine Ferguson Academy has been put on the block. If a private charter company bid for the school and the school district accepted that bid, then maybe it could live on in some way, in whatever way the charter company decided. If not, then Catherine Ferguson would close this summer. Like all decisions involving the Detroit Public Schools, the one about Catherine Ferguson Academy ultimately belonged to the school system's appointed emergency manager. Detroit schools have been run by an emergency manager since 2009, when former Governor Jennifer Granholm, a Democrat, installed one to try to save the city's school system. Last year, the emergency manager had tried to move Catherine Ferguson out of its building under Michigan's old emergency manager law, but community protests forced him to leave the school alone. Then in March, the new governor, Republican Rick Snyder, signed a new emergency manager law, sometimes called emergency manager on steroids, sometimes called financial martial law. This new law from the new Republican governor gave the old manager essentially dictatorial powers, truly dictatorial powers in the technical sense, unilateral authority. You decide it, it is so. No one can say otherwise. Under Rick Snyder's new law, the emergency manager answers to no local elected officials, not the elected school board, not the elected city council. The emergency guy is in charge with unlimited authority. Detroit schools are broke. They may even be broken. And in the state of Michigan's view, the first part of fixing them is to do away with democracy and give the power instead to a state-appointed overseer with unilateral power. Perhaps because they remembered what had happened the last time the emergency manager came for the school and how protests had stopped that from happening, the students of Catherine Ferguson Academy this year staged a sit-in at their school to try to keep it open. You see them painting protest signs here, setting up for the long haul with sleeping bags, stuff for their babies, food. They meant to settle in for however long it took because this is their school. This is how they thought they would be able to keep it open.
I want everybody to have the same opportunity that I had. I got out of here. I want you to graduate the same way I did. I got 2 kids. You can make it with 1, 2, or how many of you got? You know, they're going to make it happen. Miss Andrews, make it happen.
Miss Andrews, she's talking about Miss Andrews, the school principal, Mrs. Seneth Andrews. She's the one who, at Catherine Ferguson, pushes you through, finds a college for you to go to, and money to help with tuition. If you show up at her school as a junior or senior, Miss Andrews says you've got a 90% chance of leaving with your diploma. Under her leadership, Catherine Ferguson has been named a breakthrough school by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. Just hours after Catherine Ferguson's students began their sit-in, what they thought would be a long-haul occupation of their own school, Ms. Andrews got a call for help, specifically to help make short-term arrangements for the kids, because the kids needed to be taken care of because this happened. Detroit police moved in and arrested these girls, these American girls in this American high school. A dozen students and 1 teacher were taken into custody on April 15th. Their voices drowned out by the police sirens that were put on so their community could not hear what they were yelling. The last time we checked in with Catherine Ferguson, the principal was preparing a 20-minute public presentation on why the emergency manager should choose to keep the school open. Since it's his decision alone, he just gets to personally make that call as one guy. Ms. Andrews never got a chance to give that public talk because on May 3rd, Catherine Ferguson turned up on this announcement, the emergency manager's list of schools that had drawn at least 1 bid from a private charter company. And remember, that was their only hope of staying open if a private company wanted them. So with a bid from a company to keep them open, they thought there was some hope, but then 3 weeks later, Catherine Ferguson turned up on a new list, this list, schools whose buildings would close with some kind of unspecified transition plan for continuing their services for a while. Far less hopeful, but maybe not the worst. That was a couple of weeks ago. And yesterday, the principal, Ms. Andrews, got called to a meeting for schools that are being shut down. Catherine Ferguson, her school is on that list now. Ms. Andrews has been told to turn in her keys to the school on June 17th. Catherine Ferguson Academy, which has served Detroit's most at-risk girls for almost a quarter century now, is slated to close in just a few days because the school's emergency manager says so. That's what he decided. And in Michigan now, his word alone is the law. Joining us now is Asenath Andrews, principal of Catherine Ferguson Academy in Detroit. Principal Andrews, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Let me first say that I'm sorry about this. I imagine this must be a very difficult time for you personally. Did I get the basics there accurately about your school and what's happened?
Yep, that's pretty much what's happening.
Were you given any particular reason for the decision to close the school?
Well, the reasons we were given is that it was expensive and we didn't have enough students, and there's no way for the district to get money for our infants, toddlers, and preschoolers.
What do you think will happen to the students now, to these girls who come to the school who are pregnant or who have young kids?
I'm so afraid that most of them will just quit. Nationally, most girls who quit school do so as a result of pregnancy or parenting, and if our girls don't have a place that they can go and that they can take their children that's safe and inviting and special and has high expectations for them, then right now, some of our kids take 3 buses to school. If the neighborhood school was a really good option, they'd be at the neighborhood school. So I'm not at all hopeful that our girls are going to get back into school if we're not there.
On the issue of the expense of the school and why you were told it's closing, it seems to me that a school like Catherine Ferguson may be more expensive. You are, in effect, educating 2 generations at once. But the people of Detroit had decided before now that the investment was worth it. They'd fought to keep the school open. Under this new emergency manager law, does the local community have any say any longer?
I don't know that anybody ever had a say over it other than it used to be the Board of Education and us, the emergency manager, and we as a school never had any say. But I think that the district up till this point felt that the commitment was important enough so that they said, yes, we need to do this. We need to make sure that the children of these young women get a good foundation before they become Detroit Public School students, and that these young women get the kind of confidence and competence that they need to go on to make a life that gives them and their children some chances in the world.
What kind of message do you think that this decision, the emergency manager's decision here, has sent to your students in closing the school? Clearly, this is part of their education too now, this decision.
I think they feel like nobody gets it. Nobody understands how important it is for them to be there, or how important the school is to them, or how much success they've had since they've been there. One of our students just graduated from medical school last week, and a former student, she clearly attributes her success to having found us when she was pregnant and 16, and our school saying, well, yes, we still expect you to be successful. Yes, of course, we still expect you to have goals. We want you to have a future, and you got to do some things to make sure that happens. So I think my girls now think like nobody's hearing them. Nobody gets that this is so important.
Do you know what I'm sorry, ma'am, continue.
And they really think that they can just go to the neighborhood school.
Do you know what you're going to do next?
I'm going to retire.
Asenath Andrews, principal of Catherine Ferguson Academy in Detroit. Appreciate your time tonight on what I'm sure is a very difficult time. Good luck to you and to your students, ma'am.
Thank you.